Hi guys, Olive here. Here today to recommend some great booktubers to add to your feed. I've been a part of the booktube community for years now, longer than I'd like to admit, and while it is a wonderful space filled with amazing people, it can sometimes be hard to discover new channels, to discover new booktubers who read similar books as you do, who talk about books in the way you want to hear books talked about. YouTube can be a little bit challenging to navigate in that way to discover new people to put in your feed. And for that reason, for years now, over the majority of my channel's history, I've been making these types of videos, these shoutouts videos, to point you in the direction of channels that I think are infinitely worth watching. And I have 10 of those to share with you today. I subscribe to so many booktube channels. I watch so much booktube content on a regular basis. It's always a really big challenge for me to narrow this list down to only 10. I need to do that for time reasons. But in selecting which channels to bring to your attention, I use certain criteria to help me out. I always select people who have under or around 1,000 subscribers at the time that I'm filming this shoutouts video. I pick people who I've personally been watching for a little bit of time, so I've had a chance to get to know them and can share a little bit about them with you. And I also make sure to pick people who have been posting fairly consistently over the past few months, so that if you do go and decide to subscribe to their channel, you'll know that more content is very likely on the way. Most importantly, though, I pick booktubers with whom I share at least a somewhat similar reading taste. In case you don't know me, if you're new around here, I read a ton of nonfiction, but I also really enjoy literary fiction, historical fiction, classics, and the occasional work of genre fiction. I really enjoy reading variety. I enjoy a variety in my reading diet, and I tend to be drawn to booktubers who enjoy the same thing. And so I select booktubers for these recommendations lists if we have at least one of the genres I just mentioned in common, preferably multiple. And I do that because I assume if you're here watching my videos, you enjoy the types of books that I read, and that you would like to be pointed in the direction of booktubers who read at least somewhat similarly to me. The first booktuber I'd like to encourage you to watch is Smitty over at the channel Smitty N. She is an archaeologist, and this is actually her second channel. Her original channel, which is still active, she talks about topics surrounding archaeology, as you could imagine. And on that original channel, she did also used to talk about books. That's actually the original channel that I was subscribed to. But fairly recently, she created this second channel and moved all of her book content to this channel. So while both of her channels are infinitely worth subscribing to, I'm just going to be talking about this one in this video. Smitty enjoys a little bit of everything. So literary fiction, fantasy and sci-fi, nonfiction, romance, mysteries, classics, a good variety can be found on her channel, which of course I love. She has said on her channel that she really enjoys books that make her think, but she also clearly enjoys picking up books for fun, and I find both of those things equally relatable. She is more of a mood reader, so she doesn't make a ton in the way of TBRs, but she does do wrap-ups, and all of her videos are such high quality. You can feel the care that she puts into her videos. You can also feel how intelligent she is. She has a great screen presence. I'm just really looking forward to seeing how her content evolves on this new book-specific channel. Next up, I have a channel that's run by two people, Sierra and John at And They Were Readers. This is a fairly newer booktube channel. They just started it at the beginning of this year, but they chose to name it after an absolutely iconic vine, which made me like them immediately. Sierra and John are really good friends, and they decided to make this collaborative booktube channel because they enjoy working on creative projects together, but also it's clear they just enjoy one another's company. You can tell how much fun they're having already in the making of their videos, which makes them all the more fun to watch. They have an amazing dynamic. They are absolutely hilarious, but I think it's really impressive how they can go from a silly moment when they're both laughing and then transition directly into a thought-provoking topic. And they also bounce ideas back and forth just effortlessly. I think it also makes a lot of sense for them to share a channel because they are both in very similar spots in their reading lives, in that they're both finding their way to reading now as adults. John has said that he never loved reading growing up. He always felt like it was something forced on him at various points in his education, which I think is how a lot of people feel about reading. But then during the pandemic, pandemic, with the abundance of free time that a lot of people had, he found his way to reading, and he's been hooked ever since. And then Sierra, on the other hand, she said that she loved reading as a child, but she fell out of love with it as a preteen. But now she's found her way back to reading, and she has said that BookTube has been a big part of that journey for her. I would say the majority of what both John and Sierra are reading presently is literary fiction, with the occasional nonfiction book thrown in there. Although Sierra did say she's expanding her horizons a little bit and reading a little bit of fantasy. It's so fun watching them because you can feel the influence of the bookish internet on their reading. And it's fun to see that because I feel like that's such a big part of all of our journeys when we first get into watching BookTube or anything bookish online. We have that moment when we just want to pick up all the hyped books online, just can't get enough. It's such an exciting moment, I think, for a reader, especially people who are coming back into reading. I'm really, really looking forward to what goes on in their individual reading lives as they start to read more books they click with and start to really discover their own taste in reading. I am so excited that we get to be there for the start of that process for them. Then there's Grace at the channel Books and Cooks, and unlike the previous two channels I just recommended, Grace has been on BookTube for quite some time now. So if you decide to head on over to her channel and hopefully subscribe, there's a whole back catalog of videos for you to go back and enjoy. However, amongst those videos, I don't think she's ever done an intro video or the BookTube newbie tag. So while I know a good bit about her reading, I know less about her as a person. I do know that she grew up in a family of readers. I know that she was homeschooled. And I know that since she's been a voracious reader since childhood, she has read a ton and continues to read a ton. Variety is really the name of the game on Grace's channel. She reads literary fiction, historical fiction, nonfiction, classics, sci-fi, horror. I mean, you name it, and she probably reads it, and she probably reads a lot of it. And because she's been reading so much since her childhood, and she's had her channel for some time now, which really does help you get to know yourself as a reader, she knows what she likes. And she's mentioned on her channel that she definitely prefers character-driven stories. And because she's been a part of this community for a while, she's very comfortable on camera, she's very personable. Watching her videos feels like you're talking books with a really good friend, which is always the best kind of channel. Another booktuber I highly recommend is the lovely Dia over at Novel Idea, which is such an amazing channel name for her. Dia is originally from Idaho. She is a mother and a grandmother, and like Grace, she's been a reader since childhood. She reads a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, classics, nonfiction. I know she's been getting more into nonfiction since starting her channel, and then also mysteries and thrillers, and cookbooks and gardening books. In addition to reading, Dia also enjoys cooking and gardening, as you would imagine, but then also thrifting and photography. And it's challenging to put into words just how gentle and calming her videos are. She just has this presence that radiates compassion. She's soft-spoken, yet she knows her own mind. Her videos are so cozy and comforting. I swear watching one of her videos could take the edge off of the worst day. Next up is Gretchen, and her channel's name is Made You Book, which I also love. Got some really strong channel names on the list this year. Gretchen enjoys reading classics. She always picks up one big classic every single year, in addition to reading other classics. And then she reads literary fiction, contemporary, translated fiction. And she'll also pick up the occasional big nonfiction title. But one thing you definitely need to know about Gretchen is how much she loves book prizes. So if you similarly love book prizes, hers is the channel for you. I know her plans for this year are to read the long lists for the Booker, the International Booker, and the Women's Prize. And then she's also going to be reading the short lists for the Giller and the National Book Award. I imagine she'll be making a good amount of content surrounding those prizes. She already makes a good number of individual book reviews, so if those are your thing, definitely check out her channel as well. But then also, she has mentioned that she's going to branch out and make some different fun types of videos this year, and I'm really excited to see what those are. You may be wondering, how is she going to get all of that reading done? But she's mentioned in her videos that she travels for work, and she always has books along, and it gives her a lot of reading time. So I am confident that she'll be able to achieve achieve all of her goals. I have been enjoying her channel so much. I love her confident presentation style. I love her enthusiasm for book prizes. I love the way that she loves them, and her enthusiasm is so infectious. I can't wait to see what she thinks about the different prizes this year. I will definitely be following along. Again, if you also love book prizes, this channel is going to be a goldmine for you. But another channel that I recommend that also has a more specific focus, kind of like Gretchen's, is the channel Eyes on Indie, and it is run by the wonderful Sarah. Sarah lives in Chicago. She's a mom. She works in fundraising, and then during her free time, she also writes. And by her own description on her channel, she focuses on independent publishers, university presses, and under-the-radar books in all genres. Sarah is the ultimate cheerleader for small presses. And if you come to BookTube looking to discover new books, definitely check out her channel because she is going to introduce you to so many underappreciated publishers and the amazing titles that they put out. And she has this vibrant, energetic personality. She talks about these books in such a thought-provoking way that each and every one of them becomes unmissable. So she's dangerous to the health of your TBR, but she's a gem. Moving along, allow me to also introduce you to Chloe, who runs the channel Recovering Book Snob. And kind of like the channel And They Were Readers, which I spoke about earlier in this video, her channel definitely represents a return to reading. Because just like Sierra, Chloe loved reading books as a child, but very much fell out of love with reading when she became a preteen. Now, though, as an adult, she has found her way back to reading, and it seems like this channel has become a part of that process for her. And her channel name is not just for show, it is also a part of that process of getting back into reading, because during her younger years, she had some ideas about popular books or non-serious literature. Because they weren't super serious works of literature, she didn't see them as reading, but that's not really a notion that she wants to hold on to in her reading life as an adult now. So in order to confront those notions, in order to dispel them, she's been incorporating a lot of those exact kinds of books into her reading diet. So over her past year on BookTube, she's read a lot of literary fiction and classics, a little bit of nonfiction, the occasional genre fiction book thrown in there as well. You can definitely feel the influence of the bookish internet on her reading as well, similarly to John and Sierra. You can tell that she's reading a lot of those books that are in your face when you are first starting to get excited about the book world online. She does make a lot of reading recaps on her channel, and she'll make the occasional pop culture focused video, which I find very fun. Chloe is charismatic. She is extremely easy to listen to. She just has this ease about her on camera. Even her very first video, I swear you would have no idea that that was her first BookTube video if she wasn't talking about it being her first BookTube video in the video itself. She is such a natural and has been from the very start. I love the way she presents herself, and her dry delivery is just right up my alley. Then there's Brett over at the channel Brett Benner. Brett lives in Los Angeles. He's a dad. He works as a casting director, and he also co-hosts a book-focused podcast called Gaze Reading. Additionally, I know he has a successful Bookstagram account. I believe he actually started there and then made his way over here to BookTube in 2022. And Brett reads a ton of literary fiction with a healthy amount of nonfiction in there as well. And since he is so enmeshed in the book world, he talks about them on multiple platforms. He is so knowledgeable about what is going on within the book world. So if you want to keep up to date on that, he is a great resource for that. He's also well-spoken, he's energetic, he's friendly, he is just great fun to watch. The penultimate booktuber I'd like to draw your attention to is Lori, whose channel is named Books, Ink, and Paper. And her story is an interesting one because she created this channel a really long time ago. I think she's had it for just about as long as I've had mine, but it seems like she originally made this channel to discuss other hobbies of hers, memory keeping hobbies like crafting, journaling, scrapbooking, things along those lines. But back in 2019, she started making book-focused videos, and she's been going strong ever since. Lori is originally from the Chicago area, but she has lived in Mississippi for quite some time, and I believe she really loves it there. She reads a lot of mysteries and thrillers, literary fiction, and nonfiction, but then also a little bit of romance and contemporary as well. And she makes all different types of videos on her channel. Of course, she talks about the books she's reading and she makes straight up book recommendations videos, but she also does recommendations videos for other types of bookish media as well. Knowing what I know about her channel, that she originally started it to talk about other creative hobbies, it doesn't surprise me at all that that sense of creativity has extended into the bookish content that she makes. She is not afraid to make different types of videos, to take a chance on a different type of video. She has said that she enjoys being innovative. And I think our community really needs that, people who aren't afraid to make different types of videos. And so I find her channel in general to be just very inspired. I think she's composed, very tuned in, great to listen to, and best of all, you can tell she's having fun. Last but certainly not least is the wonderful Audrey over at her channel, Audrey Approved. Kind of similar to Grace at Books and Cooks, Audrey doesn't talk a lot about herself on her channel. She really does stick to the books, but I do know that she lives in San Francisco, and I also know that of all the people on this list, Audrey is the person that I share reading taste with the most. Audrey reads tons of nonfiction and literary fiction, and then also a little bit of sci-fi and romance. I also know she's working on this project, Read Around the World. So she's trying to read a book from every single country in mainly alphabetical order, which is so impressive. On her channel, she mainly makes themed recommendations videos with the occasional other type of video thrown in there as well. I will say, she doesn't post very frequently, but her videos are worth waiting for because they are such high quality. And then Audrey herself is so put together, but she has this sense of wonder about the world that I cannot get enough of. And her videos are very comforting in that the expertise that she brings to the table will put you at ease. So those are some booktubers that I highly recommend checking out. I have listed and linked all of their channels in the description box below, and next to each one of their channels, I've provided a link to a sample video, a video of theirs that I think really represents what their channel has to offer. So please go and watch those, give these channels a try, and while you're watching, please do also consider subscribing. As I've always said here on YouTube, subscribing and unsubscribing are both free. So there is absolutely no risk to you if you add these channels to your feed and give yourself a chance to get to know them. If you do decide to subscribe, leave them a comment saying hello, and please, in that same comment, let them know that Olive from A Book Olive sent you. I am an absolutely expert level lurker in this community, and I'm pretty sure some of these people don't even know who I am, let alone that I regularly watch their content and suggest you do as well. So let's try to avoid jump scares. Tell them in the comments that I sent you, and then in my comments, let me know which ones struck your fancy, which ones you decided to subscribe to, and if you have any recommendations of channels that I might like, let me know that as well. And if you're looking for even more amazing booktubers to watch, please also do check out the playlist I've made of all of these shoutouts videos that I've made through the years. Many of the people that I've recommended in prior years are still here on BookTube, still making amazing content that I am still watching. So those videos from the past can also be a resource for you. I will link that playlist for you in the cards and in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.